Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to this interview, and I present you Daniela. And Daniela, would you start with presenting yourself, saying who you are and how you work?
Oh, hi, Dominica. Thank you for having me here today.
Hmm.
What to say about me? As you know, my name is Daniela Tripaldi. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
clinical psychologist. I come
Mm-hmm.
originally from Ecuador. I
Mm-hmm.
have a mixed background. I'm also a half Italian, so I have
Mm-hmm.
my Latin American and Italian background with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have been doing my studies in different countries and
Mm-hmm.
working. I'm living in the Netherlands since 2014, and I have been working with especially international people and
Mm-hmm.
helping them to, uh, supporting them with the adaptation processes in the new culture, or
Mm-hmm.
also to more focus on in complex diagnoses like depression,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, and autism disorders and
Mm-hmm.
such.
Mm-hmm.
I am a mom. I'm a wife also. I'm the third of three sisters, and yeah, this is me.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so very interesting, rich language and culture backgrounds already. So many different countries.
Mhm.
So it's fascinating already. Plenty of questions come into my mind, and thank you also for sharing a bit of your personal landscape with two sisters. And but we talk about this provocative way of working.
Mhm.
So would you tell us how the provocative approach is somehow introduced in the way you work? As
Mhm.
you said, you're a clinical psychologist. You mentioned depression, autism. So I'm really interested. Where is provocative style in there?
Well, I like to think that we as humans, we
Mm-hmm.
integrate many parts of ourselves. And when I work, I try to integrate also different approaches. So
Mm-hmm.
I use CBT, I use logotherapy,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, one of the biggest influence that I have with the provocative therapy is believing in the capacity of human beings to recover, to handle things, and to being authentic with themselves
Mm-hmm.
by um, you know saying it loud what they are thinking inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I do what I really identified with in the provocative approach is believing that someone can heal and can handle a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that are hard for themselves to maybe say it loud, but the
Mm-hmm.
therapist can help them to say it loud. And
Mm-hmm.
once we say it loud, we can
Mm-hmm.
find solutions, or we can find a different way to face that can be very scary, can be very sad, can be
Mm-hmm.
very a challenge for the person.
Mm-hmm.
And but when a psychologist starts the training,
Mm-hmm.
we are very like scared. And I think this
Mm-hmm.
is something that is very general in psychology, is that at the beginning we are scared of saying some sort of things or trying to
Mm-hmm.
protect the client.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I have learned during my whole life as a psychologist, of course,
Mm-hmm.
is that it's important to trust that the person who's in front of us can handle these things,
Mm-hmm.
and because the trust that we have
Mm-hmm.
can be like they can start like at least questioning themselves, that if the psychologist trusts me and my
Mm-hmm.
ability to handle this,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can also trust that I am available and I am able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the biggest and more important aspects that provocative approach that I like to include it. And it's not a specific technique, but it's a way of seeing and a way of having a relationship with the clients. And the other part, of course, is humor. So I really think that being able to laugh about a lot of things in life can be a source of a way to take distance and to again to be able to see what can be causing a lot of stress from a different perspective that is not that scaring anymore, so humor and having helping the patient, the client to use it as a strategy to deal with what is happening. It's very important, very effective, and also it allows us to see the improvements during the process. So these are the two main things. Of course, there's a lot of the theory behind the provocative therapy that I align to, but I would choose these two factors as the main that I keep using and keep them very close to my approach.
Okay, super. So the saying out loud things that you think and that client might think, which can create this trust in the person that they are able to handle it, and then they are strong, which they are. So this is like manifestation of that you believe in the client.
Exactly.
And the humor, which might make it smaller the stress, lower the stress level, and handle and see things differently.
Exactly.
If I understood you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You're right. Yeah.
Okay. So interesting. And maybe we will also come back to that later on, as these are like a pillars of how you think, or what's the most important and provocative way. But how was that you, in some moment of your life, met this provocative therapy, or heard or got to know? Was that on your studies, or you met someone? Was that your purpose? You were looking for it, or just it came to you?
Well, it's interesting that you ask. I would love to have it during my studies, but I didn't. How did I get to know the provocative style? It was when I moved here to the Netherlands. I met my colleague and very good friend Federico Sandrick. So he's going to be also in the, participating in the Congress, and we're going to do a workshop together. So he introduced me to provocative therapy. So as you might know, he's very he really likes Spanish. He speaks very good Spanish, and he's very close to the culture in Spain. And when I moved here in Leiden, in the city that we both live, I started writing my blog. And I was sharing it in Facebook, in some Facebook groups, and he managed to read it, and he realized that I was living in the same city. So he contacted me, and then we had a coffee, and he started to talk about provocative approach, and I was very curious. So then he introduced me to this new style that and this is how I end up like somehow making it also part of my own approach.
Was that like you said you heard about that and you said no way, or was that oh yes? So what was your first reaction?
My first reaction was, oh, this is interesting.
Okay. Curiosity, yeah?
This is interesting. I haven't thought about it, and also about as I mentioned before, I I did my PhD research in logotherapy, and logotherapy from Viktor Frankl has a lot of in common with, from my perspective, with provocative therapy. And in particularly, the way how logotherapy sees the humor, and also this, the potential that the person has to heal. So when I was reading about and listening to Federico, I was really connecting these two parts, these 2 points, and I was saying, okay, this is interesting and this is so right. So I immediately, of course, there are, when you start getting to know the approach, it can be like scary to use that, So, but working with Federico has allowed me to really start applying some techniques and to start like combining it with other techniques coming from, or strategies coming from logotherapy or cognitive behavioral therapy. So yeah, but I would say that at the beginning, my first reaction was, oh, this is interesting. Actually, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm so glad that you mentioned it, because it's so interesting that you make this link between logotherapy and Viktor Frankl. We also in Poland sometimes make these connections. So this is kind of like foundation for you to build on it for provocative direction. And interesting also that you said that it's a little bit scary to think how to use it. And I think this is something that very often we hear in Poland here, for people who would like to learn this approach or would like to use this approach. They might be afraid that they might become more too aggressive or do it in the wrong way. So maybe you could share from your experience what helped you to get over this fear, or gradually, or something that could help people who listen to us also to make a development in this direction.
So I think that getting step by step, so understanding, and first I would say to get to know how you can be in provocative and start acting or using the techniques based on what it feels good for you as a therapist, because when you are talking with a client, the client needs to feel that you feel comfortable with a specific approach or technique, so they can feel that they can again trust you, and that they can that you know what is happening there. And I do think that what have helped me to feel more comfortable is to know that I have to find my own way to feel, to be provocative when I feel that it is, a good, the right moment to do it. And this takes me also back to the theory of provocative therapy. So it's not just provoke, it has more underneath. So it has the relationship that you have with the client who's going to guide you through the right moment, and there is the connection there, and there is the taking care also of being empathetic with the client to understand what he's feeling, so that there is the connection that you build up with the client, that together with understanding how you can be provocative and respecting that, that can guide you to decide when is the right moment and how provocative you can be during a session. So I think that at least if you are in the first steps to the provocative style, knowing this can help you to get more confident and to see that it's okay if you push a little bit more if you are like connecting with the person.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you for this point of view. Very inspiring. And soothing in the way, like, calming down the anxiety that you might have, like, oh my god, I would like to learn but I don't know how, or I don't know if I do it right. It appeals to me, like looking for your own style, which will be so much coherent with who you are. And I think it's difficult sometimes because a lot of provocative style is learned also through watching sessions of Frank Farrelly, for example. It can give you this, temptation to, I want to be like Frank, and I want to, I repeat what he do, how he do it. And I think this is so much in contrary of what you say. What you said, I understand. Find your own way of what does it mean for you to be provocative, for you to feel well and comfortable with that.
Exactly. Indeed, it's like you don't need to be copy paste of someone else. It's finding your own style what makes you feel comfortable. And this is also something, again, it's like you can modeling this to the person who's in front of you. So if you are, and I link this with what I want to share during the Congress is to learn to be authentic and to accept your authenticity, that it will help you to make decisions in that moment. For example, during a session, knowing yourself and accepting yourself, your style, it will help you to understand and accept the client's timing as well.
So it requires so much trusting yourself.
I think that our profession needs to. You have a lot of responsibilities in when you are working with another person, and taking care of yourself and knowing yourself. It's one of the most important responsibilities that we have as psychologists. So. Yeah, and that can give you some trust on what you are doing, and that you are doing the best you can with what you have.
So, as a clinical specialist, how do you see a provocative approach in terms of, can we work like this with every type of client or disease or how it's called, disorders, or some of them are not that good for it, or some are better? How would you see that?
I would say that it's not about the diagnosis, it's about the timing in the process.
Oh,
so
what does it mean?
What I mean is that of course, there are diagnoses that requires like more experience to be provocative, in order to be provocative and be efficient with the provocation that you're trying to do. But I also think that it's more about when in the process or during the session you are being provocative. So. And again, here is what what can guide you is the connection you have with the client. So the client, when the timing that the client has, will open the client to be more, receptive for the provocation, and do it and accept it in a effective way. I might say, but it's not. But if the person is the connection is not there yet, or the moment in the therapy, that in the session is not the right to be provocative, because it needs maybe a different approach. So you don't have to use it. You can use another thing, and then when the timing is the right, you can use it. So I don't think it depends on the specific disorder. That depends on what is happening in the particular session and the timing also of the process. Maybe, I don't know, from my experience, I think that the provocative approach will start when I feel that the relationship with the client is strong, and then I can start provoking something, and I start like tasting the water, so slowly and small, ways to provoke, and then if I see the reaction, and then it will come. It will change. The approach will change. Maybe doing it more, like more extreme. Well, my style is not like very. It's again. It's I have found that using humor. In as when I'm trying to provoke something, it's that is my style. So I use a lot of humor. I use jokes, the irony, that is my way. So I tend to taste the water and again, it's not about the diagnosis, it's about the moment of the process and the moment where you are in between, inside in the session. I don't know if that's clear.
You say tasting the water. That's already interesting, because I'm thinking if you say about tasting, like the water, or I was also imagining you with the finger in the sea to see what is the temperature, what is the salt. So maybe if you could say a bit more. For me, it was like to be extremely attentive and to be able to react to what you see.
Exactly. It's like, to make an intervention and to be aware of how the client is reacting to that intervention, and to being able to focus on the reaction, and based on not just what the client is saying to you, is telling you, but also the body language, the changes, if the client needs a little bit of more time to process what was happening. And depending on that, you can push a little bit further. So it's, yes, you need to, I do think that it's important to really be aware of what is the reaction. If the intervention was successful, you will have a reaction, and then you can talk about that, and maybe you can try a different intervention that can be a little bit more stronger. I don't know, depending on how is the water. So maybe it's too hot, so we need to calm it down, or maybe it's too cold and we need to push a little bit more to have a result, to shake, to create a reaction there. So that's what I mean. So it's
okay, so it's the temperature of the water that you regulate.
yeah, somehow.
Okay, like you have a pool and then you say, maybe it's too cold or maybe too hot. Oh my God.
Yes.
I love it.
It's and it needs yeah, I think in that way you are respectful with the client's timing again. So it's it's important.
So much about connection between you and the client, and feeling. You said how verbally and not verbally, what is the body of the client and his reaction. So for me, as I see you very attentive to every second and all dimensions of the clients, and what happens in him or her, what changes and what can you do right now. Extreme flexibility.
Yeah, I think we have to develop flexibility in order to work with different clients, and it's something that at the beginning we can start a session thinking in a very beautiful script of what is going to happen during the session, and when the client comes, something have happened, and everything that you have planned, it doesn't works anymore. So it's
Mhm.
you need to change. You need to adapt
Mhm.
to what the client needs in that moment.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
it's yeah, I think we need to become very flexible and adapt
Mhm.
to what is needed in that moment.
Mhm.
And I think that flexibility, it's also it's part, from my point of view, a very like a central part of the provocative style, because it's the
Mhm.
flexibility that we want to have to
Mhm.
see how the client is able to adapt also to something that the client maybe wasn't aware that, or wasn't even planning, that a
Mhm.
joke, for example, or
Mhm.
also a question that is completely out, that the client didn't thought about. So
Mhm.
flexibility, it our capacity to adapt to environments,
Mhm.
to be flexible, is what have bring us to here. So it's
Mhm.
allowed us to become humans, right?
Mhm. Evolution, you say.
Exactly. From an evolution point of view,
Okay.
yeah.
So if we have like the microscope of your cabinet when you work, you show a fragment of evolution to the client,
Well,
teaching him through how you are to be adaptive. Mhm.
yes, some sort. Well, at least this is what I like to think. I hope
Mhm. Mm.
this is what that I am able to share it
Mhm.
now with
Mhm.
them. So that is my
Mhm.
goal. It's my
Mm.
personal goal as a
Personal
psychologist.
college. Wow. Okay. Strong thing.
Yeah.
Super. Super. I
Mhm.
like it so much. This fragment about this adaptability and flexibility, and this touch the values that we have as professionals.
Mhm.
I'm curious about clients that you work with. You mentioned you're working in clinical field, but also you mentioned this multicultural dimension, helping people to adapt to different conditions. Do you have a certain, like, I don't know, that you in majority work with the cultural adaptation, or in majority in clinical field? How it looks in terms of your clients, and a specific of them?
So I think that it's I do have a lot I'm living in the Netherlands, and in
Mhm.
the Netherlands, it's a very international country. So
Mm.
um, there are so many cultures here, and so many people coming from different cultures as well.
Mhm.
And finding, when you decide to move abroad and to start your life in a country that's not yours, it
Mhm.
requires a lot of effort and a lot of uh, the process to find your own, uh, to put your own roots in a country that's not
Mm.
yours, can be very challenging for many people.
Mhm.
And this kind of process can lead to anxiety disorders or depression. So I have
Mm.
been working a lot with people who's suffering from anxiety, depression, and lately, and this is what have been one of the motivations that made me think about my topic for the Congress, is that
Mhm.
I have been working with many clients that are in the spectrum.
Mhm.
So, and that they are also suffering from depression and
Mhm.
anxiety, but there is this autism part of that is increasing the complexity of what is happening in this client's life.
Mm.
So yeah, I think of course the clients that I have been seeing a lot in the past years
Mhm.
is more related with also it reflects also what is happening around the world. When
Mhm.
we were during the COVID
Mm.
period, there was a
Mhm.
lot of anxiety and depression because of the uncertainties of what is
Mhm.
going to happen with the world, with our families, and especially if you live abroad.
Mhm.
So now there are a lot of unsafetyness
Mhm.
in the world, and the you know, the worries and about the weather, the changes in the weather, the problems with the
Climate
the climate,
changes.
exactly. So all these things are being are being perceived as even more complex when you need to adapt and to feel that you are at home and that you have your support system and that you are in your own culture. So I think that what is happening around the world is creating more impact and to people who's like deciding to, because of any reason, you know, to live and build a new life in a different country. So this is what I have been seen often in my in my clients.
So I could see that they are interconnected. So
Yeah.
very often depression or anxiety comes out of the in adaptation or troubles with adaptation, multiculturals, or when changing place where you live. Are there any maybe aspects of this multinational or multicultural differences in taking in a provocative style or humor in therapy, or saying the truth, what you mentioned? How do you see that?
So I do think that culture can be can have a big impact in the way how you apply the provocative approach. It's not, especially when you're talking about humor, the use of humor, because depending on your culture, some kind of humor it's acceptable, and some other maybe can create you know, not the surprise and make you reflect, but will create more defensiveness. So I do think that keeping in mind the culture that the person is coming from can help you to adapt also your style.
Okay, so interesting. I can see that it can be some studies on this maybe in the future.
That would be a very interesting field for
Field.
research. Yes,
For research,
indeed.
yeah. And maybe let's talk a little bit about the Congress topic. You said why you chose it, right? Is this? Can you say a little bit more about that?
So as I mentioned before, and in the past years, I have been having more and more clients that are or that have the suspicion to be in the spectrum, or that they have been already diagnosed with with ASD. So what I have found is that you know, there is even though the research has been grown a lot, so we can understand a little bit better what the autism is. When we talk about adults, there is there is a huge gap how to especially when you talk about therapy and guidelines for to create a program that can work with specific in this specific field. There is not much like studies about the effectiveness of a specific approach, and so the research is not there yet. We don't have guidelines, or if they are very limited. And I do think that the research has been focused on children a lot, and what it's been seen is that it's focused in children and mostly in males. So there is not many information about how does it work, how is for ASD in girls, for example, or how to help girls that are in the spectrum with the challenges and being inside of, I don't know, society and have to deal with emotions and interactions and such. So what many of my clients have come to the sessions because it is very challenging for them to understand, to feel part of, to feel integrated, and how can they that, and they feel that they are not accepted because the way how they perceive the reality, the way how they behave, or the way how their minds work, you know. So it's a challenge for an adult that is receiving a diagnosis, or that has been, coping with what does it mean to be in the spectrum during their own life, to be themselves, to accept that there's that the way how the mind works, it's different, but it doesn't has to be bad, you know. It doesn't has, they don't have to fake or to push themselves to be someone else just to fit in. So they just need to understand and to be authentic with themselves, and then from there, you know, start to the process of learning and understanding the social interactions, for example. So I wanted to focus on this part of the treatment, that is supporting them to understand how their mind is working and accept this, and then from there deciding what is going to happen next with their life. And this is, I think that can help a person to really you know, have a path to follow. So why I chose this, because I think that there is a space there that we need to look and to try to develop strategies that can help people who's really needing this kind of support. So I hope that integrating logotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and provocative therapy, we can offer somehow this support to this part of the population that they really need it.
Yeah, so good that you picked that topic, as I think it's becoming the more and more discussed and seen, also in Poland. So I think that many people will be grateful for that. Many people who are in spectrum, or have their friends or families, or are interested or would like to work with ASD. And I'm thinking, will on your lecture or workshop, will they talk about provocative approach with working with the people in spectrum? Because,
So I will try to talk a little bit more, because as I mentioned before, I want to tell how I work, you know, how I integrate these three approaches in order to give this support to people in the spectrum. So that is what my goal is to share a little bit how I am integrating in, and hopefully this will be an invitation to the people who will be there to find their own way to integrate these different approaches in order to help also these people who's really needed to find this support and in us. So that is going to be my invitation at the end of the lecture.
Okay, wonderful. I can't wait. It's so extremely fascinating, and so much is said about can you work in a provocative way with people with autism, for example? And this is a big question, and many people answer differently on that. So I think that you picking this topic, I'm very curious, and I think people will be very curious what will be there.
Yes, and you know, I find it very actually, and I hope don't misunderstand me, but working in a provocative style with people inside the spectrum, in the spectrum, it's even easier, you know, because usually people in the spectrum, they like to be, they don't like, you know, when people is not direct. They because social interaction can be so challenging for them to understand and to navigate, that being direct and being able to express and to be clear about what are you thinking, which is part of being provocative, can be taken very positive from them in their point of view. So it can be a very good way to see the approach from that perspective. You know, it's like it's also a way to you know, understand the how the mind in a person with in the spectrum works, and then you can feel more like, you know, confident to say things in a clear and direct way, that it can be easier for them to receive it and to process it. I don't know if it's clear. I hope so.
I think so. We never know what, but I think a lot about saying the truth, or saying what you think, or saying what you really think, and saying it directly, without.
Exactly.
I think in Netherlands, from the international knowledge that I have, Netherlands as a country is very direct country, saying what they think, a low context country. So I think this is about that, that people with spectrum might express themselves in this way, and we might not understand it. Maybe we might feel hurt, and it's to find a bridge to their world, to also speak their language, and for them to finally feel understood or understand the world better. This is how I understood what you said.
Exactly. Indeed, you got it.
Okay, good.
I'm glad that we have found this bridge, you know.
Yes, we have found this bridge, yeah, even in different countries, but in 2 screens on Zoom, and we found it.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, super. So you showed how you integrate different approach. You invite people to do that, which is also very close to Provocare and the mission of the Congress, also to show many different areas and many different specialists who connect and integrate different way of thinking. So thank you for being the incarnation of this yourself as well. An incarnation of internationality as well. Thank you so much, Daniela, for taking this time for us, for the public, for the people, to share your way of seeing provocative approach, or your way of seeing the healing process or therapy. Was very nice to get to know you. Would you like to add something at the end from your side?
I just want to thank you. It was I really enjoyed this conversation with you, and I hope that I was able to share a little bit of how I work, and I really would. I cannot wait to see you in the Congress, and I hope that we can discuss deeper about you know, mental health and provocative approach, and many other approaches that are there, and that can help us to do our job in the best way for our clients. So
Mm.
thank you, and hope to see you soon.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, see you soon. And great, thank you again for sharing your experience,
Thank
Daniela.
you.
Okay, so
Enjoy.
bye-bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.